What is happening, people? Welcome back to another video. If you're new here, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I do forget to say that. I've had a very interesting weekend. I was at the 5-Star Championships. Shout out to Raj and Harvey. Harvey's the Director of Operations and Raj Singh is the CEO of 5-Star Championships, for having me down at the Bradford Live. As soon as I got there, so I got there for about 8 o'clock when the main call was about to start. And from start to finish, there's a lot of drama. Shout out to Tom Mullen, who became the FSC champion. He'll go on to big things, and there's big sort of hopes for him to get into the UFC. So I'll keep a close eye out on your journey, Tom. And then Shoaib Yusuf who was a main event, a Bradford boy, at the Bradford Live, and it was very sort of eye-opening. Obviously, I talk a lot about boxing on this channel, but it is business news for combat sports. So it's quite interesting to go to some UFC, and it was quite interesting to see how different sort of outlets sort of operate, and it was really interesting to speak with both Harvey and Raj. Both interviews with them are out on the YouTube channel, so please give them a watch if you haven't already. It's quite fascinating to hear about these promotions that do put a lot of time, resources, money into it, and they are doing big things. So big shout out to them. But I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about boxing, because on the weekend you had FA Jagba taking on Charles Martin. Now, I kind of feel like this event sort of went under the radar a little bit. I think Zuffa Boxing maybe need to sort of reimagine the way they sort of promote things, because it seems like it's going a bit under the radar. It seems there was not a lot of marketing that was going on behind the events. Now look, I'm sure there is, but I mean, in terms of the other promotions as well, obviously you had the Queensbury show, Nick Ball Figueroa. I felt like that had a little bit more sort of backing behind it. Obviously Lee Wood, Josh Warrington this weekend, a lot of people know about that. So I do think they need to work on their marketing. But it was a good fight between the Jagger and Charles Martin. Charles Martin is 39 years of age. Obviously he came to fight Anthony Joshua. That's what he's sort of remembered for. His reign as world heavyweight champion was quite short-lived. I think it was something crazy like 39-40 days. But sort of he came back to sort of maybe try and find a way to push on in the sport. But F.A. Jabba was just too good. He had a lot of power in those shots. It seems like in the earlier rounds, Charles Martin was sort of winning those, but a Jagba sort of landed. I think he missed with the uppercut and then landed with a hook, but the hook didn't even land flush. It just sort of grazed him, and it sort of stunned Martin. Martin went down and then almost couldn't recover from the fight. He was buzzed a couple times, and then obviously gave the referee no choice but to stop the fight. So it could be the end of Charles Martin's career. But in terms of who F.A. Jagba can now fight, I mean, look, I guess it's quite interesting, right? Because I guess it's dependent on who Zuffa Boxing signed. Because I guess now they've sort of released the weight categories that I think they're only recognising 8 weight categories, and obviously the heavyweight is going to be one of them. So if anyone were to fight F.A. Jagba, I don't know if he signed with Zuffa fully. I think he might have done, which sort of means that they'll have to work out a deal. He was calling out Tyson Fury. Fury, of course, is fighting Makhmudov. Interestingly, Makhmudov lost against Guido Vianello, but then Guido Vianello lost against F.A. Jagba. So who knows, maybe a fight against Makhmudov for a Jagba, because both can whack. Both can really whack. I think Dave Allen said after he fought Makhmudov that he was the hardest puncher he'd been in with, and Dave Allen's been in with a lot of hard punches. So yeah, it was a good fight. Just as well, I mean, in terms of the atmosphere, I think it was held at the Meta Apex Arena, if I'm not mistaken, and it just didn't seem, I don't know, the sort of, the whole crowd didn't really seem engaged. It didn't look like it was full. Obviously when they were fighting, it seemed like there was no sort of atmosphere. So I guess that's something that they need to address. But I guess it's something that's on their radar as they look to really sort of the um, grow the organization. I mean, look, they've got Jai Patai fighting, and he's fighting against Brandon Glanton. I've done obviously a video on that. So look, they are making steps, and from everyone who's been interviewed about it, it's not a case of, I guess they're taking sort of the learning from what Riyadh season did when they sort of entered the sport, whereby they sort of threw a lot of money at it, realised maybe that's not the way to do it, and the way they're doing it now is probably the way in which Riyadh season maybe would have preferred to enter the sport, but it's backed by them in the form of Turkey. So um, yeah, interesting times. But it seems to me, and it seems to everyone else who's speaking, that they are here for the long run, and they are going to be credible competitors to Matchroom, Queensberry, and all the other promotional outlets out there. Anyway, moving on to Josh Warrington against Lee Wood. I mean, that's a fight that I was there for the face-offs between the two on the undercard of Ben Whittaker against Cavazzi. Sorry, on the sort of promotion of Whittaker against Cavazzi. I was there at the press conference, and there's a lot of needle between the two fighters. Obviously, they've both shared the ring. They both thought they won that fight. The referee called the fight off, featuring Josh Warrington, and he was sort of felt aggrieved by that. So there's a lot of needle, and it should be a really good fight. A really good fight, one that I'm looking forward to, and it's good to see boxing back domestically in Nottingham, where it's going to be held. I'm hopefully going to the press conference on Thursday, so we'll try and get some good interviews with the fighters, and as ever, we'll try and chat to interesting people. What else? I mean, the undercard for that, Ishmael Davis taking on Bilal Fawaz, and then obviously you've got Matchroom's crop of young talent coming through. TMA 18, I think, is fighting Leo Atang. Joe Howarth, who's Dave Allen's charge. Dave Allen is fighting on that card as well. So a very good fight card put on by Matchroom, and one that I am very much looking forward to. What else do I want to talk about? That's right. So I was just going through LinkedIn, and it seems to me that Ben Shalom has partnered with, I'm just going to try and get the article up, but Ben Shalom has ventured into football, essentially. He's partnered with a company or a guy who, where is it? Ben Shalom, Omni Sports. I should have got this up beforehand. Okay, that's it. So he's launched this new thing called NXXT Play. So it's described as a dynamic new football agency. He's co-founded with the highly experienced FIFA licensed agent Danny Knowles. Danny's worked at Omnisports in Manchester alongside high-profile clients, including Antonio Valencia, Joe Hart, Chris Smalling, Adam Wharton. His deep knowledge of global markets and commitment to tailored high-impact strategies make him the perfect partner for this venture. We've launched with 5 players under the age of 24, some of the biggest clubs in the country, all of them with big futures in the professional game. It's designed to bridge elite on-pitch guidance with off-field business expertise with high-impact strategy. Central to our philosophy is a deep commitment to pastoral care, recognising the true success extends far beyond contracts and performances. Okay, so obviously Ben Shalom is the youngest licensed promoter. I think he got his promoter's license at the age of 23. He's gone on to build Boxer, and from an article that I was reading in the sports industry, it seems like him and Danny Knowles sort of grew up together, they both played for Altrincham. Apparently Ben Shalom was destined to be a footballer. Interesting. Didn't know that. But I mean, look, I guess there is a lot of parallels between boxing and football in terms of how athletes are treated off the pitch. I guess some of the core principles still remain. Boxing is a solo sport. Football is, of course, a team sport. But off the pitch, each footballer is a solo person trying to sort of, find their way, make sure they maximise their earnings, make sure they work with the right commercial partners, opportunities. The same with boxers as well. It's just that when boxers get in the ring, they're by themselves. So it could be an interesting move. In terms of, I guess, actually, is there? I'm just gonna get the website up to see who they currently have. So they've got a total of 5 players: Cameron Byrne-Hughes, who's at Manchester United; Max Conway, Bolton; Matteo Dashi, Crystal Palace; George Wickens, and Hayden Roberts. So these are the players that are currently signed under NXT. So it seems like he's taken, from the press release, it seems like he's taken sort of young players and trying to sort of develop them. Yeah, I mean, fair play to him. I think AJ's done this as well with his sort of management team. It's quite big, his management team. I think he's got the likes of Chloe Kelly on the 258 management. And I think he was talking about publicly with Eddie Hearn and obviously in private about, doing something in football, maybe Matchroom getting into football. I think they own Leighton Orient as well. So, it's not maybe as abstract or as out of the ordinary as you might think. I think there's always been a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a relationship. So it'll be interesting to see how that takes shape. But I think that's all. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.